All right, it's Tuesday, the day after Christmas. I hope you had a good one. This is the Sean Spicer Show. We have a great conversation going your way in just a second. Neal McDonough, he's the star of The Shift. You've seen him in so many movies and shows, Suits, Band of Brothers, you name it. He's been in it. We've got a real great conversation about his brand new movie that's perfect if you're going to be going to the movie theater this week, if you need something to download. Let's get into it. All right, folks, I hope you had a great Christmas. I hope you cleaned up. You got everything you wanted. You're getting a little downtime this week, maybe. I know this is a busy week, a lot of traveling. And anyway, great Christmas in the Spicer household. I love Christmas. It's the combination of so many things, especially you've got younger kids, which we do. It's fun to live vicariously through their lives, as I once did myself. You know, in those mid-years when you're not married and you don't have Christmas is still great, right? But you when you have kids, I always feel like it's you get to watch them get excited for the build-up and then Christmas morning, and obviously go to mass and making sure that you understand and remember the true spirit of Christmas. It's so commercialized these days. But that all being said, we've got a great conversation coming your way. Hopefully this week you've got some time to maybe just listen to some fun conversations and not as political and in your face as we always are. And I think we hit the nail on the head today with an amazing, amazing actor who's out with a new film. But it's not just, I want you to hear about a film, but it's what they're doing. You know, we've talked in the past about Angel Studios. They're the ones who did The Chosen. They did Sound of Freedom. Well, they're out with a new movie called The Shift. And this one's packed with actors that you know, that you recognize. The lead in this is Neal McDonough. You know him from Band of Brothers, Minority Report, American Horror Story, Yellowstone, and even Suits, that movie, that show that is getting a lot of attention on Netflix. Used to have Meghan Markle in it. You remember that one? Oh yeah, he was in that. He always plays the villain, and it's an interesting thing. But I'm telling you, when I watched this, it was gripping. It was powerful, inviting. There's a scene in there where he plays the Benefactor, which is the devil. And I didn't know entirely what to expect when I watched it for the first time. And it literally captivates you for the, whatever it is, an hour and 40 minutes. And anyway, I loved it. I thought it was great. So I want to welcome in Neal and talk about not just the movie, as I said, about where Hollywood is with films like this after the success of The Chosen and Sound of Freedom and The Shift. Where is Hollywood going to go? Are they picking up on the cues and the signs? All right, without further ado, Neal McDonough. Neal, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks for having me on. First, I got to say, and I said it before, thank you for doing what you do all these years of entertaining people with great stories, with the chance to actually have conversations about things that people want to talk about. So thank you.
I appreciate that. I enjoy this part of it. There were a few rocky moments along the way down this path, but I think we're on some settled ground now. So I appreciate it.
Congratulations.
That's what I love, though, is actually getting to talk to people a little bit beyond the 5-minute interview. And I wanted to, obviously, loved the movie, The Shift. Told people about that as we started the show. And I want to get to that because it hit me from so many different directions. And I want to talk to you about that. But I want to just start sort of at the beginning. I was excited to see you're a fellow New Englander. You grew up on Cape Cod. Tell me about your upbringing a little bit. I think your parents owned a motel. What was it that got you into acting, and what about your childhood that kind of
I'm such a Cape Codder. I'm still wearing Nantucket red pants.
That's what I'm talking about.
Kill myself. You can take the kid out.
That's wicked awesome.
Wicked awesome pants. It was a great childhood. I got to grow up in a small motel that my mom and dad owned in Cape Cod, and myself and my 5 siblings. I was
what
the youngest.
Town?
In Hyannis.
Okay.
So from a very young age, I was always working at the motel until I left to move to Hollywood. And it was just the characters that I draw from are probably mostly the characters that I met as a kid at the Rainbow Motel in Hyannis. And
does it still exist?
No, it's a bank now. And one of my daughter Clover the other day said, "Dad, when you really make it, why don't we go back and bulldoze that bank that is now on the property of the Rainbow and then rebuild the Rainbow the way you remember it? I was like,
oh, that would be cool. All right, folks, are you looking to secure your financial future? I know I was, right? You've got real estate, maybe some stocks, a bunch of other things, a 401k, an IRA. But how are financial metals part of that? Because you look at the price of gold, the price of silver, so many of the other precious metals, how they've done over time. It's a smart bet. And the folks at Bishop Gold Group can sit down with you and talk to you about how to convert an IRA, a 401, whatever it is. Just make it part of your planning. I did it. I sat down. I talked to them about what made sense for me. I got precious metals as part of my portfolio now. And here's the thing. You can keep them. They can keep them. You will sit down with the folks at Bishop Gold Group and come up with a plan that's right for you, depending on how much you have, what you want, where you want to store it. Whenever you're ready to cash it in, you call them back and say, hey, here's what I have. I need to cash it out. They'll make that happen. That's the beauty. These are folks that I know, that I trust, that I talk to. So if you want to join me, then go to bishopgoldgroup.com/Sean. You get a special promotion for kicking off your journey to financial freedom and diversification with Bishop Gold Group and precious metals. Or you can call 844-984-1616. But go to bishopgoldgroup.com/Sean to see how you can make precious metals part of your financial freedom journey. Thanks. I grew up in Rhode Island. There's something about New England towns, and I think the Cape in particular. I love going out there. I got a bunch of buddies that I served on active duty with that are cops out there. And it's just, it's a great place. I imagine to grow up, not that different probably than Rhode Island. We all still cheer for the Red Sox and the Patriots,
right.
but anyway, so what got you into acting?
I think being the youngest of 6 kids, I always wanted to figure out what was my niche. You know, my brothers were all great athletes, my sister was a great athlete, also a great student, and they all did very well. So I had to try to figure out what my niche was. And for me, it was baseball, hockey, and acting. And those were my 3 loves as a kid. And acting just kind of started to push forward. When I was on stage, something happened when I played Snoopy in You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown at Barnstable High School. When I was
no way.
Yeah, that kind of hit me, that the audience was, and I remember it was like it was yesterday, Sean. It was like the audience was so intent in listening to what I was saying. And I was like, wow. I don't have to fight for attention. They actually listen to me. Like, you know, I have to fight over everyone at the dinner table to get the extra piece of meat type of thing. And me, I have that work ethic from my dad and my mom that if, like he always said, if they give you $1, give them $2 worth of effort. And that's what I did that night. And I got a standing ovation at the end of the night. And I was like, I guess I'm pretty good at this. And then I kept doing it. And I realized that this was probably the biggest gift that God gave me. And it's the only job. It's the only job I've ever had. And when I first moved out to Hollywood, I started doing baseball movies and
no way.
And yeah, Babe. I played Lou Gehrig in the Babe Ruth Story. Was my first movie. It was for NBC.
Which one?
Lou Gehrig in the Babe Ruth Story for NBC.
Oh wow!
And
so I know we always hear about people who, if they're in music, they go to Nashville or where country music, Nashville. Or when you go to LA, like what was it like for you then? I mean, were you just literally pounding the pavement, going from audition to audition? Did you have a connection?
It happened fairly quickly. You know, my first audition really was Lou Gehrig in the Babe Ruth Story. And it was all because my cousin read in the Boston Globe that they were having an open call for Lou Gehrig in the Babe Ruth Story. He's like, you got to go out there and audition for this thing. This is meant for you.
Right.
And the next day I got in a plane and I went out there and auditioned for it and I got the part. And
no way.
I thank my cousin Liam Monahan at the Hyannis Travel Inn, who owns the Hyannis Travel Inn Hyannis, for putting me on that path. And ever since then, you know, baseball was very good to me in the film world, and Angels in the Outfield and all kinds of other sports characters. And then it all kind of led to me playing Buck Compton in Band of Brothers. And that was my shot at the title, and I wasn't going to relinquish it. And the best part about doing Band of Brothers was I met my wife, Reve, the very first day I got there on St. Patrick's Day in 2000. So good day for that.
What was she doing?
She was doing public relations for different nightclubs in town. And that night, the door girl was not there, so she had to be there in her stead. And I got out of that black London cab. I remember, again, it was like crazy yesterday. And there was this 6'3" woman with this long black coat and these black boots, and I was just smitten. I couldn't even speak. I was just like, what is that? And that was it. I knew at first sight this was going to be the woman I was going to spend the rest of my life with. The guys were like, "Are you out of your mind? You're in London for a year doing Band of Brothers." I'm like, no, this is the one.
So do you realize, like, people will tell you these stories? I went to 57 different auditions, and then I got a bit piece in a commercial, and that commercial. And you were like, "Hey, I went to Hollywood. I got the first part that I wanted in a film, in a subject that I love. Then I met my wife." I mean, it's like after the first year, you must be like, "This is a great town."
Yeah, it's been, and when I didn't feel like being in LA anymore, I'd go back home to Cape Cod for a few months and work at the motel and hang out with my family, just kind of rejuvenate it to get that kind of core values back into my system, into my soul, really. And then I'd go back out to Hollywood and do some work and then go back. And then when my mom passed away, I didn't have that thing to go back to anymore. And it was a really strange adjustment for me in my mid-20s. And I was like, well, what's next? And then I met Reve doing Band of Brothers, and 150 movies and 1,000 hours of television ever since we met. And I think that I'm probably the most blessed guy on the planet, and have 5 incredible kids, and get to be on your show, Sean, and talk about what I do for my living. Are you kidding me? I'm a very fortunate guy.
You are a very fortunate guy. I'm not really sure where this appearance ranks on that. I do want to ask you. You brought up Band of Brothers, and you played Buck. Did you? At least I understand that you met Lynn Compton. What was that in terms of not just the part, but shaping you as an individual and his story and
shaping me as an individual? Boy, I can't even. Well, I'll get to one in a second. You're going to like the punchline in this one. So he became like another dad to me, and when we were doing Band of Brothers, I would call him in the middle of the night all the time. "Where did you sleep with your Thompson? Did you keep it on your right side? Did you keep it on the left side? We rolled over." It's like, my gosh. And he would answer every question. And we became so close. And what he did as an American to do what he did in World War II, then to become a police officer, and then to put himself through law school, and then become the chief prosecuting attorney against Sirhan and Manson, and then to start his own conservative talk radio show in Washington State. He was just an incredible guy to have in my life, and a guiding factor also. And in fact, he would always tell me, "Neal, come on, you got to come out of the political closet and tell everyone you're Republican." I'm like, "I can't, Buck. I can't do that. That'd be hard in Hollywood." And finally, at his funeral, in front of thousands of people, I got up there and I said, "Okay, this is for Buck," and Buck is laying right in front of me. I said, "It's going to sound like an AA meeting, but here it goes. Hi, I'm Neal McDonough, and I'm a Republican." And the place just lost their mind. I could feel Buck shaking in his casket with pride that I finally let it out of my system. And everyone knows how I feel about all kind, life and God, and how I'm kind of conservative on certain things and not so conservative on other things. But Buck, between my father coming over from Ireland and becoming an American citizen by going into the Army, and with Buck Compton, those are two guys that really pressed. And look, you can say Republican, Democrat, whatever you are. I'm just so proud to be an American and to have this great relationship with God in this family environment that I fortunately have in my life. My family that I was born with have always supported me, and my wife and my kids here support me. And I'm not sure what you call it, but I'm just really blessed to be where I am in my life.
That's what you call it. How important was religion for you growing up? Was this something? Obviously, I always say this for people who don't fully appreciate it, but like growing up in Rhode Island, I think it's 98% Catholic. So we had Italian Catholics and Irish Catholics, and it's kind of ingrained in what you do as a family in a lot of sense. It's obviously, I think, died down a bunch, but was your faith something that your parents talked to you about, that was something at the dinner table? How did that manifest itself?
Growing up in Dorchester as a kid in Boston, across the street was the Morrisons and the Pachucos, and right across the street was literally St. Peter's Church. We'd play stickball, and you'd hit a tennis ball, and hopefully you didn't hit the stained glass window. And so we're always in church. And if we were late for church, there would be, a backhand from my grandmother, "Hurry up, get into the church." So church for me was always this. I loved going to church as a kid, as a little boy. It was kind of, St. Peter's Church in Dorchester was just such a beautiful place to just kind of hang out and always be around. And always, until I was 6 years old when I moved to the Cape, I was always up against the church or hanging out of the church, or every function happened at the church. So whether you liked it or not, you were just kind of fully indoctrinated into it when you grew up in New England, as you did, Sean. Yeah. Same thing. So as time progressed, there was always that kind of warm blanket of Catholicism that was around me. But then I went off to this Christian religious retreat when I was 16, and that kind of sparked my, oh, wait a second. I'm in church all the time, but I never really think that, okay, Jesus died for us. The ultimate sacrifice for mankind. Wow. What can I do to say thank you to him? And that kind of always like was in my brain. And I've always been that way. Okay, am I doing the right thing to make God happy? Not so much just to make me happy, which is what we all do at times. And we all fall into those pits. So, when I used to drink alcohol, all the things that you do and the thoughts that you have and how to get away from that stuff. And it was a difficult adjustment to give up alcohol 8 years ago, but what an amazing 8 years it's been. And it was through the faith that I knew that he had in me when I didn't necessarily have all the faith in myself at times, because we all trip, we're all sinners, and we all do stupid stuff. But it's how we get up and dust ourselves off that dictates what kind of men and women we are for him, not just for us, but for him. So that's always been in the back of my head. And now film-wise, to be able to produce content that has that backdrop in it. So people, when they come to our movies, they'll think, okay, we know there's going to be a faith dilemma here or part of the story. But I want to see the lead guy go through this stuff, because if he can get through it, maybe I can get through it. If she can get through it, maybe I can get through it. So it's these morality plays that Shakespeare did so well with are kind of what we're trying to, I can't compare myself to Shakespeare. That's not my point.
No, I get it.
Yeah, but I'm trying to make films and TV shows that make people think about how they can be better, whether you're Jewish, Catholic, Christian, Muslim, agnostic, atheist, Buddhist, doesn't matter. How you can be a better child of God, how you can be a better human, how you can be part of this team of life that we have. If we just rooted for each other a little more instead of pointing fingers and knocking people down, men, wouldn't this world be a much nicer place?
All right, folks, longtime listeners to the show are going to know about Delta Rescue. DeltaRescue.org, the largest no-kill sanctuary in the world. It was founded by my friend Leo Grillo, and Leo basically one day found a Doberman that was in need of serious help and nutrition. He rescued that Doberman. He named the Doberman Delta. Delta stands for dedication and everlasting love to animals. It's become Leo's mission and what Delta Rescue does every single day for all sorts of animals. Go to DeltaRescue.org. Take a look at the videos and the material there. They rely solely on our contributions. If you're an animal lover, go check out DeltaRescue.org and tell me that you just can't see what great work they do and why we should be helping them. I've rescued 3 dogs myself. I know what it's like to go out there and help them. This is a no-kill sanctuary for life. It's a mission for them, and they rely solely on our contributions. So $5, $10, $100, whatever you can give is super helpful. But more importantly, Leo wants to make this an enduring cause, something that we don't have to worry about just funding month to month, year to year, forever, to make sure that the work of Delta Rescue lives on. They've got an estate planning package on their website, DeltaRescue.org. Aside from the videos and all the testimonials, go check out that estate planning guide and see if you can make it part of your enduring mission when you pass, to make Delta Rescue part of your estate planning. Check it out, download it. It's all free. They can help you walk through it. Please visit DeltaRescue.org. If you're an animal lover like me, you're going to want to do this. Thank you. It's just funny because there's so many of the tenets, especially in Christianity, that, while are rooted in Christianity, are just being a good person, right? Don't lie, don't cheat, right. Don't steal, don't kill. Those might be rooted in the commandments, but frankly, they're just things that, like, you can be whatever religion or agnostic, and you can still say, okay, these make you a good person.
Right.
So there's a clip that's made a lot of rounds on Instagram and on social media of you talking about scenes that you wouldn't play, especially after Scoundrels. Just play it quickly for the crowd.
I was blackballed for 2 years. I couldn't get a job. And because of that, I lost my big, beautiful house in Los Angeles, my shiny Mercedes, all my stuff, and my swagger. And as you can imagine, at the time, I was really crushed. They thought that I was some religious zealot, but to me, it was just that I didn't think it was the right thing to do. And also, I really love my wife. And as I've said, and I'll say it a million times, these lips are meant for one woman. And I'm not sure if she's here in the room yet with our 5 kids, but if you see her, you'll understand why. But after that, my confidence was gone. I lost it all. And I started wallowing in self-pity. I started drinking my problems away. It hurt. Almost 2 years went by, and it was the lowest point I could get to. And I remember this day like it was yesterday. I was so angry, and to God I said, why have you forgotten about me? Why are you doing this to me?
All right, so I saw that, and I was listening to you talk about how that there was huge backlash against this. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, to your point about your story before with Buck, you know, coming out, that wasn't you coming out and saying, I'm a hardcore conservative, I'm a, you know, Christian right guy or anything. That's you just saying, I want to maintain the vow to my wife, and I don't want to do anything that is against the values that I hold. I was honestly shocked by that story, because I get some of the values that I think come out of Hollywood, but I didn't think that was the line that that people had a problem with you crossing, because that's not a line, that's a value. And was that a shocking thing to you? I mean, you talk about the pain that it caused, the you know, the inability to work. And again, maybe it just is naive for me to say that, but I felt like, wow, I cannot believe I mean, they let people who have drug problems go back into the, you know, get another piece and da-da-da-da. But yet that was the line for so many people.
Look, as painful as that was at that time, and Sean, it was you know, there wasn't a bottle of Jameson that I didn't really like at that point. It was one of those times like, what happened? How did I lose everything by making the right stance? And at the time, it seemed like no one really cared and no one was there for me. And then Graham Yost came along and offered me, because he knew what I was going through, and pulled me out of the fire. But it was those moments, though, that if I didn't have those speed bumps, I wouldn't be on the path that I'm on now. Like I always say, you have to get kicked around a few times to really enjoy the road you're on. You can't just travel on beautiful sunny days. There's going to be.
I get it, but you didn't do anything. That's the thing, right? It's not like
I can't think that way. All I can think of is forgive those who did it to me and learn from it. And would I do it again?
What do you learn? That's the thing, is that if you had gotten kicked out, you did a ton of drugs or lit something on fire, punched somebody in the face, they'd be like, Neal, take your medicine, sit in the timeout box for a year. You're not going to get any parts. And then you'll go through some redemptive phase and we'll bring you back. You didn't do anything wrong. That's what I think is so fascinating about this. There's no, what did I do wrong or how do I do better? This is, I did the right thing.
I spent a lot of time grappling with that exact thought. And that's when I was really drinking alcohol. And then when I stopped, I got clarity of mind to think people have agendas in life.
Yeah.
And I can't control your agenda. I can't control what anybody does. I can barely control what I do, because we're all human. But I can really think about moments in my life that have been hard and how it has turned into blessings. It really has been a blessing that, as hard as that was at that time, Sean, it made me more of who I am. And now people understand who I am. And sometimes, again, you get kicked hard, but you got to get up. And how do you get up? Well, so I can't. I'm not a point finger type of person. I'm just move on. What's the next shot?
I'll tell you this, for an Irishman from New England, I don't know how. I deal with that all. I struggle with that.
Trust me, there was a piece of me back then that just wanted to just get in fights and get angry.
I want to fight for you. And this is right now.
My brothers. You should have seen my brothers. My brother Bob was ready to just knock people's teeth out. It was like, but that's part of life, isn't it? Life isn't always fair. People, that's a perfect transition to the movie. This new movie, The Shift.
This is not my world. I've never been to this lake before. Never walked its shores. But I will find my way back. And I will find my way back to my Molly. 5 years ago, I was left in this dark place. Taken from my wife. The people here have no hope. There is so much evil and inhumanity in this world. But there is also beauty and hope, and I will find my way back to her.
let me just ask this, because I'm half want to talk about the movie, but also your role. Like when I was rolling the credits, there you were, executive producer at the top. What is this your first rodeo as an executive producer? What did that entail for you versus starring in a movie?
No, we started with Greater several years back, and that was such a fantastic film and to be part of, and it's done so well as times progressed. I mean, like crazy well. And then I knew, okay, I'm good at pulling in talent. And then a few years back, we did a movie called Redstone that I helped executive produce. And then halfway through filming it, I went to the writer Derek Presley and I said, let's go write part 2 to this and make it bigger. The first film we shot was for $500,000. And then Reve, my wife, went out and raised the 1.5 to do Boone. And then we went off and raised money to do another film, and then another film, and then another film. And now we've got The Last Rodeo that we're about to start that John Avnet is going to direct. He did Fried Green Tomatoes, amongst other amazing projects. And now we're up to $8 million on our budgets. So we keep on building. This is our 5th movie now, and we have a TV series set up at Amblin through Steven Spielberg's company. So people, it's funny that how people are finally really listening to what Reve and I have to say, because the films we've made so far have all made money, and they're all have great messages, and people really like them. So Unity, this company that came to us, said, we know what you're doing and we want to be part of it. We have $300 million in a film fund. What do you got? And I said, well, I'm just finished writing the script and I'll give it to you next week. And they read it and they said, this is what we're going to start out with.
And that's The Shift, is that?
No, this is The Last Rodeo.
Okay.
Which we
so
shot.
What got you what made you want to do The Shift, and what was the message that drew you into that?
Well, so then when it came to The Shift, I really like being executive producer on projects because I can bring in better talent, or I can help say, hey, come in this thing with me, or find a better director, or find whatever the case is, and really kind of start to build a family when we get to set. Like the first day on set, I'm always there saying a prayer with the whole crew. Or every Monday morning, the first prayer is coming, or Friday afternoon, another prayer is coming. And always just kind of remind us where we are in the environment, how fortunate we are to be doing the things that we love to do. And we get to do it to give glory to God at the same time. Man, it's awesome. So when The Shift came, it was the same kind of thing. I said, okay, we'll do this, but I want to make sure that I can help with the casting and bring in ideas like Sean Astin or other people, and really kind of make the best project possible. Because I'm a workhorse. I'm a lunch pail guy. I want to make sure that I'm the first one there and the last one to leave. And it works. And Reve's the same way. So when we had the opportunity to do this and start our relationship with Angel Studios, I didn't realize the blessing that it was going to be. And now we have a first look deal with Angel. Black Spartans, this football film we just did, we're probably going to go run it through Angel. The Last Rodeo will go through Angel Studios. Wicked and the Righteous, this Western that we just wrote that Jim Caviezel's interested in playing my evil brother. It's Cain and Abel in the West. So we've got all these great things going down the pipeline, and it's all funneling through Unity for financing and Angel Studios for distribution. And I could not possibly, if I don't work for anyone else for the rest of my life except for my wife and Angel Studios and Unity, and I get to turn out a movie a year, I'm the happiest to get. I'm Mel Paso. I'm Clint Eastwood. I get to do
these Angel Studios guys. I've talked to them a bunch. The Chosen, Sound of Freedom. I mean, listen, I'm with you. If I had to go bet on anybody right now, that's where my money's going.
Yeah, they're incredible, and they're doing it. They do it because they know it's the right thing to do, and not many other people in the studio world are doing that for sure. And those guys Angel Studios is incredible, really incredible, and they give young artists a chance to tell their stories, and it's remarkable.
All right, guys, most of us know what it's like to be without power, sometimes for an hour, maybe a day, a couple days after a natural disaster, a hurricane, a windstorm, whatever. But now national security experts are warning that our power grid is more vulnerable than ever. And they've identified 9 key substations, which if attacked, they're saying we could lose power for months. That's why having your own solar power is more important than ever. So I recommend the Patriot Power Generator, which is a solar generator that you don't have to install in your house. It's portable. You can take it with you. You can use it inside your house. And it's powerful enough that if power goes out, we're talking your phones, your tablets, your computers, medical devices, even your refrigerator gets power. So if you go to 4patriots.com and use code SPICER, you get 10% off your first purchase. It's patriots.com, includes that Patriot power generator. You'll get that guarantee for a year, free shipping if it's over $97, and a portion of every sale is donated to charities that support veterans, right? That's great. So go to forpatriots.com, use code SPICER, forpatriots.com. You do not want to be without power in case something happens. I want to get back to the movie for a second, but you touched on something. These Angel Studio guys, right? The Chosen, Sound of Freedom, your movie now, they touch stuff and it becomes successful. There's great talent. There's great messages. People get excited about the movie. I watched The Shift and I was like, it came at me from different angles. And we can talk about that in a second. But the bottom line is I feel like there's great content. And you said something about like now that there's people getting drawn in because they're profitable. Do you think that I've always wondered if Hollywood actually responds to that? Because I would think you'd see more content like that come out than less.
Oh, it's going to now. I mean, Sound of Freedom is kind of, there'll be a lot more content like Sound of Freedom and The Shift and The Chosen because they're profitable.
I know, but I feel like, look at the Marvel movies. They had a formula there and they said, hey, let's insert things in them to upset the apple cart. It didn't make sense. Yet I look at some of these other things and say, that makes sense. It makes profitable. It's profitable. People are going to see it. They're downloading it. They're talking about it. And yet where's the interest from Hollywood?
Yeah, it's look, again, right now the studios are going to still keep making the things they've been making for the last few years. The numbers are starting to go down on a lot of them because they know that there's this yearning for better material that actually makes you think. Not, I go to the big studio films now, and again, I'm part of it. I'm guilty of being part of these films, but they force your thought process. And unlike films like The Shift or The Chosen or other project, you get to form your own thought process instead of being told or shoveled down your throat what they want you to think.
Right.
And there's the big difference. So am I never going to do a studio film again? No, that would be silly. If it's a great opportunity for a great project, if it's a project that I want to be part of, for sure.
Do you feel like people in Hollywood, though, that when you talk to other actors, other players in the financing, directors, et cetera, are they saying, hey, Neal, like, can you hook me up? Because I loved what you guys did and I want to be part of that?
I have gotten so many calls, emails, texts from exactly that. Buddies of mine are like, wow, you guys are actually doing things I've always wanted to do. How can I be part of it? Well, we'll jump on board, send a script, send an idea, come meet, talk to the guys at Angel. Let's see what ideas you have, because, artists are artists and they like to be artistic and creative. And when you can find a place like Angel that really, look, you have an idea, you put it on the Angel website. And if 50% of the voters like it, then they start the crowdfunding.
Right.
And the Angel Accelerator comes in with the other half. Look, on The Shift, we had 6,000 people invest in the film. 6,000. The credits on the donators alone was far longer than the people who worked on the film.
Right.
And it's because Angel is having this built-in fan base with the people who vote for it. So now they're in it. And it has to pass certain guild requirements for it to be a show with Angel. Right. Huh. So once it gets that, you already have this massive fan base, and the fan base at Angel started small and now it's getting, The Chosen has 1 million viewers. It's crazy when you think about how far it reaches without the big studio advertising money, without all the studio push. This is a small little studio that's trying its hardest to push and stay up against the big players. And they're only going to get bigger and better because people want to see it and they'll vote on it and they'll put their own money into it. And it's a different way of making projects. And as creative people, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I also think, with the success they're having, it's a great investment. These guys are killing it. Let's get back to The Shift for a second. Your role, the Benefactor, I thought it was captivating. There's a scene in which they say the Benefactor's coming back and da-da-da, and I was like almost scared. Like I'm sitting there because I'm realizing your character's coming back in, and I was like, oh boy, here he comes. Which is so, as a viewer, I think that's when you can really feel a character. That's another level. What was your thought in playing this? What do you want people to get out of this character?
It's hard to say what I want to have people really get out of the character. What I I've talked about it before. originally when I said no to playing this character is because I didn't want to play something that dark. It really wasn't that interesting for me to play the devil. And then Reve and I came home, and Reve and I prayed and talked about it. And she's like, look, you're probably the best villain in Hollywood. You have maybe the greatest relationship or one of the greatest relationships with God as an actor. You kind of have to do it, because if you don't, it may not work for Angel. So it's important for them to have successful things, and you really like what Angel's doing. So you have to support him. Therefore, you have to go do the film. However, you have to figure out a way to add humanity to Lucifer. And it really hit me. And I thought about it. I'm like, okay, Lucifer was so close to God at one point. He went off and made bad decisions that I'm sure he's regretted, as we all do. So it made me think, how can I make this character as human as possible? And then by the end, when I see Kevin going through, he could choose the easy way or he could choose the hard way and through God. And he chose the hard way. He chose the right way. And there's a look on my face of, gosh, I wish I still had that faith. How do you have so much faith? And then it hits him, and he doesn't have it anymore. And then he flicks back to being the devil. I think we all go through that every day of how you see someone you see Mother Teresa with all that faith. You see anybody with so much faith. How can I be more like them? Well, it's simple. You just do. You do the right things, and you try to do what is right, not just for you, but what is right for your family, what is right for your country, what is right for the planet, what is right for God. And if you live by those things, we won't have such envy in the world. We won't be trying to rip people down instead of putting people up. And it would be a whole different ball of wax. But this is the hand we're dealt. So deal with it the best you can.
It's funny. I'm watching the movie. I don't want to give too much away, but Kevin, the main character right there, faces some choices. He's down on his luck, to put it mildly, in terms of his family and some job stuff. And he comes face to face with the devil, who gives him, the benefactor, played by you, who gives him some easy choices. Actually, really easy choices. Here is the easy way out. Say yes to me. Say yes to the devil, and I'll give you all these things that you want. And I'm thinking about the story that you told a while ago when you were refused parts because you didn't want to do things that were contrary to your value system vis-a-vis your wife, right? You didn't want to be in scenes that did not show the respect to your wife and to your marriage. And I'm thinking to myself, am I reading too much into this, that there's a personal parallel there where you said, I'm going to do the right thing? And again, in this movie, Kevin isn't immediately rewarded for choosing God. In fact, quite the opposite. And I'm thinking to myself, is this partly Neal's story?
That's a loaded. I mean, that's just, look, it's to be part of a film like this where I know we're touching people's lives. Look at the conversation we're having right now about The Shift. This doesn't happen with, I've done more press about The Shift in the last 2 weeks than I have the last 20 films combined. Why is that?
It's powerful.
People want to hear about powerful stories. People want to hear about how they can get through difficult situations. People want to talk about how they can be better and learn from movies. And we're doing that. We're having a discussion about how Job, gets through his situations with faith. And It's pretty remarkable that Angel Studios has allowed us to have the playground to create the way we wanted to create and have this discussion right now. This doesn't happen. This, for those of you who don't understand Hollywood so much, this never happens, ever. And to be able to infuse my ideas into the Benefactor and to help create a better show, and what Reve and I have done all together with Angel, it's remarkable. I mean, I'm kind of dumbfounded that it's amazing to get any film made, but to get a film like this made and to have the word of mouth that is out there about The Shift, I am just floored with humility.
Let me just ask you this lastly, because we were talking about it after several folks on the team watched it. And we were like, this is the book of Job. Is that a fair reading? I mean, because the thing that was so frustrating to me watching this movie, and that's why I say the word powerful, is because I kept feeling for Kevin. He's doing the right thing over and over again. He chooses the right thing. And again, I won't go into all the different options, choices that he makes during the movie. But he stays true to God and to his faith. when the easy choice over and over again, and you're right. I mean, in the world that we live in today, we are presented every single day and every single minute with an easy way out. Don't pay this. Look at this. Don't look at that. There's so many things that we are confronted with daily where the easy answer is to take the less faithful out. And I kept thinking to myself when we were talking about this after watching it as a team, is this mirroring the book of Job?
It is. The way that Brock Heasley, he started the whole idea with, okay, I'm going to write a movie about the book of Job. Not the most uplifting at times book in the Bible, but it's this unwavering faith that we should all aspire to have. It's not possible. You can't. We all trip. There's so many temptations out there. You're on your phone. There's so much stuff there. You're in the world. There's this, oh God, that guy has a nicer car than me, or this person has a nice.
Yeah.
And it's never ending. It's exhausting. But when you have that ultimate faith that he has your back, then those temptations aren't there so much. And you have the strength to say no to a lot of stuff. Luckily, I have a partner in Reve that I have something I always say, I can go through life with one hand tied behind my back as long as the other hand is being held by Reve. And it's pretty easy. So I'm very blessed to have that relationship here on this planet, but also the relationship with my Father in heaven. And gosh, it's a pretty good time right now. And I'm not going to take it for granted because I've gone through some pretty hard ones. And this one's just, I'm very fortunate to be where I am.
Yeah, I think I may write down that line about holding the hand because I may use it going forward. I think that's that I might get some props. That's beautiful. Neal, thank you for joining us. Thanks for everything you've done in the movie. It actually gives me a ton of hope talking to you, knowing that there are people hearing this message and seeing it. Obviously, the movie's been a huge success, but that Hollywood is seeing the success of movies like this and opening up the aperture for more. So it gave me a lot of hope around this season in particular to hear you say that. I wish you all the best. You truly are blessed, but you deserve it. And I think that's what's important is seeing the good people do well. And so thank you for sharing your story with us and how the shift came to be. And I hope everybody goes see it because it's a phenomenal movie. Like I said, it's just an unbelievable, powerful, gripping movie. And congratulations on everything you've done with it.
My screensaver is exactly the quote that my wife Reve sent it to me a long time ago. I can go through life with one hand tied behind my back. I think that every time I look at my phone, I'm like, there you go. I got it.
Okay, so that's why she truly is that smart that she made it very clear to you that you won't forget that.
No, I can't. But yes, I am blessed, and thanks for having me on your show, Sean. I really appreciate it, having the time to be able to talk about things that I love so much: my faith, my wife, my family, my movies, and Angel Studios, everything. So thank you very, very much.
All right. Merry Christmas. Good to see you.
Merry Christmas, Bell. Thank you.
All right, folks. You heard me say to Neal that I was excited and optimistic by his response because he's in the game, right? This isn't some guy that's just making an analysis on the side. You heard at the beginning, all the huge blockbuster movies that he's been in. He's a player in Hollywood. And for him to say, yes, people are reaching out. They want to be part of this. Gives me some hope. Now, do I think that's going to solve the problem? Is Disney going to do anything different than screw up these Marvel movies, et cetera? No. I think that they're on a mission to be woke. But I do think that at some point they're going to start pumping out more and more movies, and it's not going to be just Angel Studios on an island trying to do this. People at some point recognize that these are successful, there's an audience for them, and frankly, they're profitable. And more actors that want to be part of this need to know that they're not by themselves, that they have people like Neal McDonough that are willing to take a stand and do the right thing and be part of movies that are good and send key messages and are built on a system of values that aren't horrendous, which is what so much of what comes out of Hollywood is. So I'm hopeful. I hope you're hopeful. This is the kind of discussion and movie that's perfect for this week, right? I mean, it's the kind of thing where you sit back and say, okay, I want to watch something that's great. By the way, you can watch it with your entire family. It's completely, you might have to explain a part or two, but there's nothing inappropriate, no bad words. I loved it. Anyway, we're going to continue to bring you great stuff all week long. I hope you did have a great Christmas and have a little bit of time this week to enjoy yourself, maybe with family or friends, or have some downtime from work. We'll be back here tomorrow on the Sean Spicer Show. Please continue to give me a Christmas gift by subscribing, hitting that notification button on both Rumble and YouTube. Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, please. That's my Christmas gift. If you want to give me something, do that. Go to Apple, hit the 5-star review, say, I love the podcast. I love Sean's show. Spread the word a little on Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. That would mean the world to me. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you back here tomorrow on the Sean Spicer Show. Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get more.